Okay, here we go. I'm gonna do it this way. All right, guys. I'm cooking this year, Thanksgiving. I can't cook. This is my first time cooking. So, let's see. Here go my green beans. I'm about ready to put the macaroni in. I got the cheese and the stuff ready. I will. I did. And she just told me to take the powdered cheese out the box. I know how to dump it right in the water. I can't cook. They want me to cook though. It's going down. Y'all, it's going down. I don't know. Y'all know I got my stool because my leg, I can't be standing all that time. It already be hurting just because it's on the floor. Whenever it's on the floor, it's always hurting. If it's not elevated or up, it hurt. It always achy. Like I get these little pinchy, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it hurts. And it's tolerable sometimes, and then sometimes it makes me want to just be like, hurry up, get to the couch, put your leg up, because it hurts so bad. But it's been almost, let me see. My injury happened while I was in the hospital. And I went in March 11th or the 13th. And was supposed to come home, and the nurse came in to get me up and get ready for discharge, and she wanted me to go to the bathroom, and they were helping me up, and she came back into the room. After they did sheet check or whatever to make sure everybody had the right sheet or whatever. And when she came back in the room, I guess she came in and grabbed the wrong sheet. And so when they went to go swing my feet around, the sheet pulled out and ripped my leg open. And so instead of being discharged home, I ended up having to stay, which was a week stay that turned into a 28-day stay and 2 surgeries. I had to go and have 2 surgeries. And so if the nurse would have checked my INR, she would have saw my INR was 6.9. And probably wouldn't have got me up out of bed. I probably would have ended up staying because my INR was too high. And it has to be down between 2 and 3 in order for me to go home. And that's where I was supposed to stay all the time, between 2 and 3. But it was 6.9. So when they got me up after they ripped it and they swung my legs around, when I stood up, blood was everywhere. It was just spewing out of my leg, just pumping out. You can see it pumping out of my leg. And so they were like, sit on the toilet, sit on the toilet. So I sat on the toilet, and I was like, we got to stop the bleeding. And so they grabbed some chucks and stuff and wrapped it around my leg. But every time they would open the chuck, you can just see the blood like spewing out. So then I was like, just put me back in the bed. And so they put me back in the bed, got my feet up. And I mean, it looked like a blood massacre. It was blood everywhere. They was throwing down blankets and pillowcases and towels and trying to clean it up so wouldn't nobody fall in it. But as soon as they got me in the bed and put my feet up, the bleeding stopped. And it was so much pain. It was so painful. I don't know why it hurt. I mean, I know it because it ripped open, but it hurted so bad. So the nurses come in and tried to get it under control. They had to get a wound nurse to come in the next day. The doctor had to come back the next day. He said it looked like I probably had to go to surgery, that I won't be going home. So I was scared out of my mind because I had never had surgery before. And I definitely didn't want to have surgery. So I was trying to talk them out of it. They was like, you have to go to surgery because your hematomas are so big from the bleeding backing up where the blood couldn't all come out. I guess because of the way my leg was, because I had a little infection already. And so I guess because there was an infection there, the blood got backed up behind it and it made big hematomas. And so the cut that she made went from the back of my leg all the way down to my calf. And so all of that had to be cut and cleaned out because it had blood hematomas in them. And so the first surgery was just to get it under control because it was bleeding so much. They took me for a small surgery, and then like a week later, when my INR was down after giving me vitamin K, they took me back for a big surgery where they had to like put a tube in my throat and put me all the way out and do a whole surgery. and they cut out the whole thigh and the calf and stuff, and it was ugly, it was painful, and it was just all of that. It was so much pain. One thing I remember, and it's been almost 2 years, the worst I remember is the pain. Like some people say you forget your pain. That pain was so bad, I can never forget that pain. It was so bad. It hurt so long. And then what I thought it was the worst, it wasn't even the worst. They came in with those wound vacs, and they had to put those wound vacs on my legs. Let me tell you, that was terrible. They had to keep readjusting it and readjusting it, taking it off, putting it on, take it off, put it on. And if you ever had a wound vac, you know it's painful because they put that foam. They had to take this foam and cut it. My hole was so big that the whole foam that it comes in this big, large foam size, it wouldn't even fit. They had to cut that and other pieces to make it all fit. That's how big my hole was. Then they had to do it on my calf. And so the one wound vac couldn't support the big wound because it was just so open, so big. So I ended up with a large hospital wound vac because that was the only thing that could support it, plus 2 small wound vacs. So I had 3 machines on my leg at one time. And then after that, Mom, I just pour all 3 boxes in there, right? Do I turn the eye down because it's on 8? Do I need to put it on 7? Put it on 7. And then when I pour this in there, do I need to stir or? Okay. Butter or oil? Oil. Look, Mom. Just a little bit. Just a little touch. Huh? Alright, just give it a little stir, right? Because it's got a boil. It's already a little. Okay. And then how long do these green beans? When they cook down? But it's supposed to still be a little juice in here though, right? Okay. Yeah, I can still sit in the bud. The juice still sitting a little bit above the stuff. Yeah. And the green beans? Yeah, I put black pepper. Y'all, I look a mess trying to cook, don't I? But anyway. Oh, so after they put the wound vacs on, it took them 3.5 hours. 3 doctors, 2 techs, 2 or 3 nurses, and I think the hospitalists came in later. So it was 4 doctors altogether. All of them putting this wound vac on my leg. It was a nightmare. It was so sore. It hurted so bad. I'll never forget being so embarrassed because number one, they kept coming in the room and snatching the cover off of me, and you know where my wound was, and ain't like they could keep me covered up very good. But you know, I had to lift my leg and move my leg and open my legs. It was just a nightmare. It was really something to go through. And so one of the good things about being there, when first I was there for, like I said, 28 days. So I was in a whack room, and my manager came and she was like, oh no. So she had me moved to a really nice room, and which I'm really grateful for, because I was going crazy in that room I was in. It didn't have a view. All I was looking at was a rooftop with some tin stuff on top, and I was like, they need to put a picture or something over there, because if you're in that room for a long time, you go crazy in that room. So they moved me to a really nice room so I can at least see the traffic. That was helpful because I was so depressed about having to have surgery and scared. Well, I wasn't depressed, I would say scared. I was more scared than anything because I never had surgery, and the idea of having to be put under just scared me like to death. And so about 2.5 weeks after being there, if not longer, might have been a little longer. Might have been a little longer because I was going to go home that week. I had surgery the next week, and then I had to go back for the following surgery. I just was like, can I please go outside? You know, even though I couldn't walk and barely go to the bathroom, I was like, can we just roll like the bed to the ER and take me outside just so I could smell the outside air, because I had been inside for so long. I just wanted to go outside so bad. And the chaplain came in the room, and she was like, we're going to get you outside today. And she did everything she could do. I couldn't go outside that day. She was trying everything. We called everybody. The clinical coordinator, she was okay with it. And she was like, if y'all can make it happen, you can do it, go outside. So the very next day, they came in and surprised me and took me outside. I got to go through the ER and see everybody, and then I got to go outside and smell the air. It smelled so good. I remember it was going to rain, and you know how rain smells? You could smell the rain coming. It smelled so good. I was like so happy to be outside. I ain't never been that happy to be outside in my life, but when I went outside that day, it was the best day ever, because that smell and the rain and to feel the air and the wind blowing, I just was so grateful to be able to go outside. And so when I went back to my room, they told me, I can't remember if I had to go back to surgery or, I think I already had surgery. I think they was just trying to, was it before? I can't remember. It's been so long. I think I had one more surgery to go. And I don't remember if I had the wound vac on there or what. Did I have the wound vac yet? I think I did. I can't remember, but I just remember it was I was just so happy to be able to go outside, and they had put that together so I can go outside. And then when I came back in, the next day they came messing with the wound vac. So they came messing with the wound vac because they had to do it through like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And to this day, my legs still, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do make sure everything, I just became a habit, I guess. And so, I finally got to go home. They told me I can go home after messing around with the wound vac, trying to find something that worked. And then I had to come home. I came home with 3 wound vacs. And my first day, let me see how long I had that. I had that wound vac for a long time. I don't know. I remember how long I had it. I had it for a while. Then I had to return the hospital back to their wound vac. And then they finally was able to get the small one to stay on the big wound. They had to like do some type of branch or whatever, like with the foam, and make it go like half went this way and the other half went that way, whatever. However they did it. But it took her a long time to put my wound back on when she first came. Kathy, the nurse, was so great. She was so patient, because to open that, to take that, let me tell y'all, when they had to take that foam out of an open wound, so imagine you got a wound like this, and let me see, and they got this foam like this in your wound like this. They shove this foam in your wound like this, and then you got a wound vac on top, and it's sucking this down like so hard because it's trying to pull all the good stuff to make it heal faster to the front. So this is suctioning down real tight. So all this gets impacted inside that wound, and it sucked for like days. So if it was a Friday, she don't come on a Monday. So it's sucking like this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come Monday, it's time to take this off. So first they gotta wet it, try to peel this tape up. Oh my God, peeling that tape up off my skin was a doozy. I don't wish that on nobody. My worst enemy, I don't wish they had to go through what I went through. That tape being peeled off my skin felt like somebody recutting that skin, like they cutting the tape off. It hurt so bad. Then they had to go into this hole and take all that impaction that's been sucking down for 3 and 4 days. They had to pull it out away from all that tissue that's done grew on here and done got attached. Remove all of that out of there. So can you imagine going through that 3 times a week? Pulling that out of my wound like that and cleaning it and redoing and putting the stuff back in there, putting the tape back on top, suctioning down. Let me tell you, I don't wish that on nobody, not even my worst enemy. That was the biggest nightmare of my life, was taking that out of them and putting it back in that wound like that. Then it got to the point where I kept saying my leg looks so big, it just looked like it's swelling up. And they kept saying, yeah, you know, you had surgery, it's gonna swell up. And I'm like, no, this is different kind of swelling, because this ain't like going down, it's staying big. And so, ooh, that's cooking fast in this pot. It's supposed to be a non-stick pot, but it's sure cooking. Should I turn this down a little lower? Huh? Look how it look. Yeah, it's sticking a little bit. It's got water in it. I don't think you do. I think it's done. Is it? You want to feel one of the noodles? You see how it look? It's light skin.
I know, but it's not light.
It ain't light enough? Okay, it's a lot of water in it. I don't think it needs no more water. You want me to just put 1 cup? 1 cup of hot water? Okay. Yeah, because it's going to cool it down and then it's going to be all wrong. It is good, like this size amount. All right. Yeah, that's big. I'm not. It's the non-stick. I ain't scraping like scrunching. I think these green beans might be done too, Mama. Yeah, I mean, they still got a little bit of juice in there, but they done cook down more than what they were when I poured them in there. You want to let them cook a little longer? I mean, because they got enough juice that can cook a little longer. Okay. Yeah. Where was I at? What was I talking about? I got one. What was I talking about? Oh, the wound vac. So, I kept telling them my leg looked big, right? They kept telling me, no, it's not big, it's not big, it's not big. The nurse came. I was like, don't my leg look big to you? She was like, well, you know, not really. It looks about the same. Just look a little swollen to me, blah, blah. So finally, she came to see me one day, and she looked at me, and she was like, your leg is huge. Your leg is big. We need to get you in to see the doctor. So I was like, okay. I've been telling them that it felt like it was big, right? So I go see the doctor. The doctor say, it'll be okay. It's all right. The swelling will go down eventually. Never went down. So then the nurse said, we got to get a second opinion on this. Let's call the wound clinic and see if we can get you in. So the doctor agreed that I needed to go see a wound specialist. And so we all said, okay. So I went over to the wound specialist. And then he told me I should have been there weeks earlier. They probably could have saved my leg from getting lymphedema so bad. So I had lymphedema real bad. So now my leg is like, this is my leg, this one leg, and this leg it's got this big old bubble that hangs down like this, way down here. So I go to physical therapy trying to get them to shrink this back up. So it's done came down a lot. When I first went into surgery, it was like 100 and something centimeters all the way around my thigh. When I first started going to the wound clinic, I mean, for the nurse started coming here, my thigh got so big, bigger than what it was. So she started measuring it, and it was like 100 and something all the way around. And then physical therapy measured it, and it was 100 something. And so she was like, we got to shrink you down, get you down. So they started doing the massages, and she started wrapping me up, and she started doing that. So it got down. Now it's down to like 90 something, 94, I think, 94 point something. And it took a long time to get it down to that because of this up and down swelling, working. I gotta work. I can't not work. So if they told me if I wasn't working, I probably can get it down a lot faster and all that. But, you know, the life says you gotta go, you gotta work. So I go on to work. They were good to me. They let me work 6-hour shifts when I first started back to work. That killed me. I would get home and my leg would hurt so bad. It was like going through the wound, pulling that thing out of my leg. It would just swell up and hurt so bad. And then that wound vac could be sucking down on it, even though it's swelling. And swelling, that wound vac could still be sucking down on it. And it would just be, I would be in so much pain. Like I couldn't sleep. I would be up all night. It just took me days to turn around. And by the time I get turned around, it'd be time to go back to work again. And I go back to work, do it all over again. And I did that for weeks. And it was terrible. I probably should have stayed. I should have probably took a longer leave because I wasn't ready to go back to work. But, you know, they say you come back, and if you don't, they post your job. And I just wasn't willing to lose my job over it. So I went back to work, and I hustled through it and pushed through it. And then they told me I needed to start picking up picking up a whole day. At least try to pick up a whole day. So then I started trying to pick up a whole day. Well, if I wasn't making it through a half a day, you know I wasn't making it through a whole day. So I did it anyway. I pushed through. And that's why I say you never know what you can bear. They say the Lord won't give you more than you can bear. But man, let me tell you, it was a doozy. It was hard getting through that. It was hard getting through that. And then you know what was the hardest part of the whole ordeal of going through that? I would be going places and that wound vac would smell so bad. It would smell so bad. I mean, this wound vac stinks so bad. And then people would be like, what's that smell? What's that smell? Why it smell like that? What you see me walking around with these big machines. You need somebody to really tell you what you smelling. So, you know, I would come home and cry and be so heartbroken because people just be so stupid sometimes and just say the darndest thing. And I'm going through this issue and here you is acting a stupid idiot. I just couldn't handle it. I would be so frustrated. I almost tempted to quit so many times. But I know I need my job and I had to pay my bills and somebody got to put a roof on my head. So I just pushed through it, kept pushing. And finally, I told them, they said, the wound vac ain't working no more for you. You know, from here on out, it's just all about dressing changes. So that's a good thing. It's time to take the wound vac off. So we took the wound vac off. I've never been so grateful to see that thing go. It would wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to have nurses come out because I couldn't get it under control because it would just keep alarming if it's got air in it. If the suction ain't right. It just keep alarming and keep alarming and keep alarming. So I had to call the nurses out 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to come help me fix this thing. And I would feel so bad because they had to get out of their bed to come all the way this way. And some people came far from Loveland to come help me, you know, fix that wound vac. And I'd just be so apologetic because I feel so bad they had to get out of bed knowing they had to go to work the next morning. But that was a doozy too, and just dealing with that. And so when that wound vac had to get off, I was so grateful to see that thing go. Oh man, as soon as I took it off, I dropped that thing right in the mailbox the same day. Got it out of here, send that bad boy back. I sent it packing as soon as I was done with it. And so the nurse was still coming 3 days a week to change my wound. And it still was an ordeal. That skin that was around the wound was by that time so tender to touch that when she did my dressings and she put the tape on, like to hold the gauze and stuff in place to keep it, because it had to stay covered because it still was an open wound. And I'm gonna have to post some pictures and let y'all see how they look. But man, these wounds was, it was a doozy, and I had to go to physical therapy, right? And so I go see the wound doctor, and he would numb my area up with some type of lidocaine or something stuff. And that was scary because he would it was like surgery every week. They come in there and numb that area up, and then they have to take that knife and just cut all that stuff off of it that get on the top of there so that the good stuff can keep coming through. So every Wednesday I go in there and they would cut that stuff off of there every Wednesday. Cut it out, cut it out, cut it out, cut it out. And then finally it started having shapes like one time it looked like a pork chop. And we laugh about it. And then one time it started looking like Africa. And then it started looking like, it just looked like it took different shapes. Every time it would take a different shape. So if my legs shrunk down real fast, it would take a new shape. Or if it swelled up, it would take a new shape. So every time they would measure, it would measure different every time because it's got a new shape, a new angle, a new twist or something on it. It would just never be the same every time I would go every Wednesday. And so every Wednesday we look forward to what it would look like because it never was the same every week. So then finally it got down to about like that. About an inch away, where you can't put your first finger to meet your thumb, about an inch away. So about that big around. And you know what? It's about big as this coffee cup here. It got about this big around. And when it got down to that, I was like, that was the first time I saw hope. Like at the end of the light, like it's gonna heal up one day. It's gonna be closed. And they told me when I had surgery, like it's gonna take you 2.5 years to heal this thing. Without the wound vac, they said 2.5 years. With the wound vac, I got the wound vac. They put it on in April, January, March.